Princess Catherine's heartbreak in tears. Fearing the loss of her beloved kingdom, tears streamed down Princess Catherine's face as she sat alone in her chambers, the weight of her kingdom's uncertain future weighing heavily on her heart. For years, she had dedicated her life to the prosperity and well-being of her people, but now, she found herself facing a crisis that threatened to tear it all away. It had started as a rumor that spread like wildfire through the streets of the capital. Neighboring kingdoms, driven by greed and ambition, were eyeing her beloved homeland, plotting to seize control and subjugate its people. Catherine knew that she had to act, to rally her forces and defend the land she loved. But the task seemed insurmountable. Before we continue, please don't forget to click on the subscribe button. As the princess paced the floor, her mind raced with strategies and contingency plans. She had spent countless hours studying the history of her kingdom, learning from the triumphs and mistakes of her predecessors. She knew that she had to be cunning, to outmaneuver her adversaries and protect her people at all costs. But the stakes were higher than ever before. If she failed, not only would she lose her crown, but her entire way of life would be shattered. The people she had sworn to protect would be subjected to the whims of foreign rulers, their culture and traditions erased, their freedoms taken away. Catherine's heart ached at the thought of such a fate. She had seen the suffering inflicted by foreign occupation, the cruelty and oppression that followed. Her people had endured enough hardship, and she was determined to spare them from further anguish. With a deep breath, the princess steeled her resolve. She would not go down without a fight. Summoning her advisors, she laid out her plan, drawing on her extensive knowledge of military tactics and diplomatic maneuvering. She knew that the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but she was prepared to face them head-on. As the days passed, the tension in the kingdom grew palpable. Catherine's subjects rallied behind her, inspired by her unwavering courage and determination. They knew that their very way of life hung in the balance, and they were willing to stand with their princess, no matter the cost. In the halls of the palace, Catherine pored over maps and battle plans, consulting with her generals and strategists. She knew that the coming conflict would be unlike anything her kingdom had ever faced, and she had to be ready. The day of the decisive battle arrived, and Catherine led her forces into the fray, her sword raised high. The clash of steel and the roar of cannon fire echoed across the battlefield, as the fate of the kingdom hung in the balance. For hours, the battle raged on, with neither side willing to concede. Catherine fought with all her might, her resolve unwavering even in the face of overwhelming odds. She rallied her troops, inspiring them with her bravery and her unwavering commitment to their cause. As the sun began to set, the tide of the battle seemed to turn in the princess's favor. Her strategy had paid off, and her forces were slowly gaining the upper hand. But just as victory seemed within reach, a devastating blow struck the heart of her kingdom. A betrayal from within, orchestrated by a traitor who had long been in the service of her enemies. Catherine's world crumbled around her as she watched her beloved capital fall, her people subjected to the cruel rule of the invaders. In that moment, she felt a pain that she had never known, a heartbreak that threatened to consume her very soul. But even in the depths of her despair, the princess refused to give up. She knew that her people were counting on her, that they needed her to be strong in the face of adversity. With a renewed determination, she vowed to fight on, to reclaim what was rightfully hers, and to restore the kingdom to its former glory. The road ahead would be long and arduous, but Catherine was prepared to face it head-on. She would not rest until her people were free, and her kingdom was once again a beacon of hope and prosperity in a world that had grown increasingly cold and dark.